and go, go, go!
Welcome into the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast, Sunday Stroll Edition. We're here today to talk to you about Week 5, last week, rolling into Week 6. My name's Andrew Putters. This is Joe Nicely. We're going to hit on some topics. First off, let's just talk about we must have a crystal ball. Coach and GM from the Atlanta Falcons trying to figure out why it hadn't happened. That team is garbage. I'm not talking about talent, skill position level. They're out of sight, but that coach he basically hasn't been the same since they've had a 3-touchdown lead in the Super Bowl.
I don't know if they've ever recovered from it, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever recovered from blowing that Super Bowl, honestly.
I got you. Yep. That's one thing we can talk about. Let's hit on the rundown of the scores from this past week. But first, let's talk about who brings us this episode, and it is Thrive Fantasy. ThriveFantasy.com. Come up and prop up with Thrive Fantasy this season. Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy sports app with player props. They've eliminated the need to do countless hours of research because they only ask you about the top-tier athletes in the sport. The NFL, choose 10 out of 20 player prop options to build your lineup. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up on the most points and win the share of the prize pool. And Thrive Fantasy has awarded over $1.4 million in prizes since launching the app in 2018. Every week, they have an NFL contest with a guaranteed $50,000 prize pool. Use the promo code THETURN when signing up today, and you will receive a instant 100% match up to $50 on your first deposit. Download Thrive Fantasy at the App Store or Play Store or by visiting www.thrivefantasy today, and prop up with a new daily fantasy contest, Thrive Fantasy. So, Week 5. Let me get to the scores real quick. Week 5. So, Carolina, like I said, holds off your Falcons 23-16. The Bears, I think, upset the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football 2019. Vegas uproots the champs, the Kansas City Chiefs 40-32. We'll get back into that. Arizona beats the horrible New York Jets 30-10. Pittsburgh 4-0, undefeated over Phillies 38-29. Rams 30-10 over the Washington football team. Baltimore destroy and embarrass the Bengals 27-3. Texans win a game against the Jags 30-14. Colts lose to the Browns. The Browns 4-1, 32-23. The Dolphins just crushed San Francisco 49ers 43-17. Dallas 37, Giants 34. Seahawks beat the Vikings in a questionable fourth quarter call by the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings there late on the goal line. We still have Buffalo to play Tennessee here, I guess tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in the COVID-19 game. And the Chargers, as we speak, lead the Saints 13-3 and our second goal on the New Orleans 9 with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Can we just go ahead and say it? With Michael Thomas out, I'm not saying if he's back, they're in, but the Saints are done. The era of Drew Brees is over.
Yeah, I don't disagree. He got it going a little bit there against the Lions in the second half last week. But yeah, man, overall this season, Brees looks pretty washed. Doesn't seem like he's got the arm strength, which they've mostly been doing the short and intermediate passing routes for the last few years anyway. But yeah, man, he looks pretty washed. So we might be seeing the end of an era down there. The NFC South in general, man, with the Falcons at 0-5, you got to feel like we're seeing the end of an era there. As you mentioned, they finally fired Dan Quinn. Also fired their GM, Thomas Dimitrioff. We talked last week that was probably coming, and after losing to the rebuilding Christian McCaffrey-less Panthers, they make the move and pull the trigger. And as you're running down the scores, I was kind of thinking the Falcons are 0-5, which who's to say they don't improve with all the talent that they have and win some ball games. But if they continue to struggle and get the number 1 pick in the draft, they got to take Trevor Lawrence, right? They got to take Trevor Lawrence. Matt Ryan may be on the Drew Brees wash train, man. He does not look the same this year.
Hey, as bad as the Falcons are, they're nowhere close to as bad as the Jets.
That's true. That's true.
But who the Jets going to be?
They play in a much tougher division. Yeah, you're probably right, man. The Jets, I don't think they'll win a game. And I don't know how anybody does not take Trevor Lawrence if you got the number 1 pick. I don't care who your quarterback is. If you're that bad and you're up there, you've got to take this guy. I mean, he's like an Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, not going to miss prospect, I believe.
Yeah. Are you coming out if you're Trevor Lawrence and the Jets have the number 1 overall pick? You staying in there? I mean, no matter what, you're going to be a bad team, right?
I think he's pretty much already said he's coming out.
Yeah.
Unless something just dramatically changes. But, I mean, like the Jags, what if the Jags are up there? I think I'd rather play Clemson than Jacksonville for free. So I don't know, man. But, yeah, you got to figure there's some really bad teams out there. The Jets certainly popped to mind. We know Atlanta's talented, so we have to think they're going to win some football games coming in. Jacksonville's terrible. The Miami Dolphins refuse to tank. Fitzy just is going to pop out there once every 2-3 games and light it up. And I think their coach is for real, man. I think Brian Flores, who they got from the Patriots, he might be one of the few guys from the Belichick tree that turns out to be a really good head coach. I really like what he's doing down there. It sounds weird to say, but I feel like he's putting that team together the right way. The organization seems to be patient with him. They're giving him time, and I think he's doing things the right way down there. So I think there's a bright future ahead for Miami, depending on how Tua plays once he finally moves in there. But yeah, man, a lot of interesting things, a lot of bad football teams that we're seeing this year, and I think the no training camp thing or the limited training camp has really exposed some of these coaches, some of these staffs, because we're seeing some bad football from a few teams.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Not necessarily just not. I mean, the preseason's one thing. I think the no camps, like you said, it's exposed teams that are not well prepared all the time, and teams that have obviously a lot less talent. And also, it could be, I think, that with this COVID thing going on, you got to wonder if I don't know. I got to wonder if maybe their heart's not in it like normal, just because it's different. Not because they don't want to be in I'm just saying that with it being so different this year, you're distracted.
Yeah, and, guys that watch this show know that we're huge into golf, and we kind of talked a little bit about the no fans in golf, but I don't think we really touched on the no fans in football. You got to wonder how that affects these guys, man. They go out there and they are putting their bodies on the line. It's unbelievable what these guys put their bodies through, and you have to be in a pretty special mental headspace to go out there and do that once a week. And you have to think, man, having 75,000 fans in the stadium, whether they're cheering for you or booing you, get your adrenaline flowing, get your blood pumping. So you got to kind of wonder what kind of effect that's had on the game and some of these teams this year. It's not really something I thought about too much. I think we're seeing visiting teams play a lot better without the crowd noise. But I hadn't really thought about the motivation factor, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you got to be in a pretty wild headspace anyway. You can kind of pump yourself up to get out there, but to keep yourself in it, that high energy, for that long a period of time has got to be tough. So talking about putting yourself on the line, Dak Prescott, broken ankle, compound fracture, dislocated ankle, compound fracture in his leg. Surely this is not going to be a Alex Smith scenario, right? I mean, they're looking pretty positive for next year, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's an Alex Smith situation. Alex Smith came back and played, by the way, Sunday. So congrats to him, man. That's unbelievable what that dude's been through. But yeah, back to Dak. I think he'll pop back in there. He's young. Obviously it's a gruesome, horrible looking injury and a serious injury. But I also think it's one that he can come back from and heal correctly and not be affected long term. Maybe the bigger concern is his contract situation. He's playing this year on a 1-year franchise deal. Had turned down a long-term contract offer from the Cowboys, which some felt was a little underpriced, some felt was overpriced. People come out of the woodwork to argue about Dak either way. But yeah, man, he's when that franchise tag expires at the end of this year, he will not have a contract with the Cowboys or any other team. So interesting to see how that will play out as far as this injury. I think he's shown enough to get a long-term deal and deserves a long-term deal. I think he's a really good NFL quarterback. That team's had some shortcomings since he's been there, and I think he's played really well. So I think the Cowboys would be crazy not to lock him up long-term. But yeah, man, it's really interesting. One of the most explosive offenses in football, highest producing fantasy offense in football, and the biggest part of it's gone now with Dak. So it's going to be very interesting where the Cowboys season goes now.
Yeah, I forgot about him not getting locked up. I guess I just kind of assumed, I didn't read a lot of headlines before the season. I guess I just thought that he signed, just like Elliott did last year. I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, he's playing on a franchise tag this year. I think he's making like $31 million this year, but he has no long-term guaranteed money. Has no long-term contract. So he's, I don't think he'll have a problem having suitors. I think Dallas will eventually end up locking him up. But yeah, man, he doesn't have a long-term deal right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was more I guess I was kind of neutral on him before, but watching him getting carted off the field and the expression, man, I became more of a fan of him that yesterday than just a good guy, it seems like, and he works hard, and like you said, he's put that team on his shoulders. Now there is a lot of talent on that team. Maybe was the coach, what was the young guy that just fired? He's there 10 years.
Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett. Maybe he wasn't an issue after all. Maybe there's other things going on. Of course, we always think there's other things going on in Gary's world, but I'm not a McCarthy fan, never will be. So,
right. Yeah.
I will say this. I am Dak Prescott fan for sure.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of a convert. Really liked how he handled himself this offseason. His brother committed suicide before the season started. His mom had battled cancer for years, and she had passed away a couple of years ago. So Dak's had some rough stuff going on in his life, and still managed to play extremely well as a late round draft pick. I can't remember I think he was just a late round pick. He didn't go undrafted, but not a guy that anybody expected to do with what he's done in his NFL career. So yeah, man, I really like the guy. Really pulling for him. Took a lot of stuff from some guys in the media like Skip Bayless when he came out and talked about his kind of mental issues and where his mind space was after the thing with his brother. And I really respect him for that. So, yeah, man, definitely pulling for Dak.
Absolutely. So, COVID-related stuff going on. Guys, if you follow NFL, pull your schedules out, get the erasers out. This is uprooted. The COVID-positive cancellation games have thrown a loop to 9 different teams and schedule changes from now to November 20-something. So I don't even know what the schedule looks like anymore. We're just going to have to take it week to week from this point forward. But teams on top, Steelers 4-0. Steelers are for real. Unfortunately, it's going to be on Ben's shoulders, though, coming down the fourth quarter. But we think that he's probably comfortable in that situation. Not saying his defenses are bad right now. The defense of the Steelers are bad. They're just not dominant. They don't have those 2 or 3 very, very dominant Pro Bowl players like they have in their past Super Bowl runs. So it's going to be on his shoulders, which, like we said, he's probably comfortable doing. Pittsburgh Steelers, Joe, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah, I like them. I think so much in this league is about the quarterback position and being as one of the greats that we've seen in our generation. And he's still throwing the ball well now that he's healthy. And if we're talking fantasy, Deontay Johnson is going on the list, buddy. 2 weeks in a row that he's left early and tanked my DFS lineup. So if you watch the golf pod, we have a list, the never play list, and Deontay Johnson is on there for me now in football.
Are we going to add the rookie in there? What's his name? Claypool or whatever? We add him.
Claypool. I'm mad, man. All the Claypool points should have been Deontay's points.
Yeah. So moving over there, their enemy, Cleveland Browns. Not sure if they're for real. However, their offense is very intriguing, especially if Chubb gets back healthy with the lightning and thunder that you're going to have with Chubb and Hunt in the backfield. And here's one thing that they're doing. They are feeding the 2 wide receivers early in the game, keeping them involved, and it has paid dividends to their long game. Them 2 guys on the outside are ridiculous. Beckham and Landry, man, they're tough to guard when they're in the game, when their head's in the game, especially O.L. Beckham.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's an excellent point. I was really scared that Beckham was going to check out this year. And I've been really impressed with how he's hung in there mentally and also with what he's doing, on the field as far as producing. Cannot question the guy's talent, man. He's one of the most fun guys in the NFL to watch. I'm not a huge fan of his, but you cannot question his talent and how fun he is to watch. He's electric out there. And I'll tell you what, man, Cleveland's coach, Stefanski, that came over from Minnesota, what a job. 4-1 for the Browns with basically no training camp. Very, very impressive, man. He might be the coach of the year in the NFL right now.
Yeah, you gotta like him, and really, I mean, you gotta put Gruden in there too. Is what he's done.
Huge win.
Huge win. Got down early to the Chiefs, then charged back, and really neutralized their threats. Gave the Chiefs a little bit what they're going to give them, and really and got Mahomes off balance really in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. They've built that team since Gruden and Mayock have been there. They've really built that team with beating the Chiefs in mind. If you look at those draft picks they've made, they drafted Ruggs. Nothing but pure speed, kind of their version of Tyreek Hill. He had a huge play Sunday. And they drafted edge rushers, pass rushers that can get out after the quarterback, man. So they kind of drafted with beating KC in mind, and, man, they did it. They did it this week. It's very impressive.
Yeah, so, and their kicker, man, iced that game for him. That was pretty cool. Kansas City scored, got it within 8, had a chance to stop him a couple times, and they had no answer for the run game for Vegas, man. Jacobs, he's a beast. Cannot bring him down.
Really, really tough runner.
Absolutely. So on the way out, couple games I want to talk about real quick before we got to get off here. Most intriguing matchup this week, first visit – Cleveland going back to Pittsburgh. Probably the best case scenario that there's not fans going to be there because who knows what would have happened. First meeting since the helmet pulling incident.
Yeah.
But 2 really good football teams, we got to expect a high-scoring game, right?
I don't know, man. It kind of got the feel that it could go either way. It could be a shootout or it could be a grinded-out, really defensive game. I think both Cleveland definitely wants to run the ball. Pittsburgh is pass first. I would call them, even though they got Connor. I think they're comfortable putting the game in Ben's hands. So it's kind of going to be an interesting contrast to styles there, man. That should be a good matchup.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited to see that Pittsburgh favored 3.5 over Cleveland at home, 1 o'clock CBS game. Another CBS game I want to talk about real quick. After Miami destroys New York down in Florida this weekend, is Case done? Is Gase done?
Obviously should be. I don't know how he's not already. Unless they decided to just ride this year out and start fresh when the season's over. But yeah, I think he's definitely done by the end of the season. Right. Maybe after the game if they get totally trashed.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, Detroit travels down to Florida to Jacksonville, favored 3 against Jacksonville. Both teams with only 1 win. We got to think if Detroit comes down there and pulls out an L, Patricia's got to be done too, right?
That is a see-year rounder right there, buddy.
Yeah, if he loses this game, he's dead to me. Let's just go ahead and put that out there right now.
If they roll down to Jacksonville and come away with an L, that they might not let him back on the plane to go back to Michigan.
Pull the old USC Lane Kiffin trick. Leave him on the tarmac at 3:30 in the morning.
Another little interesting matchup down there is maybe the game of the day this coming week, Green Bay and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that should be good. Two of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time, teeing it up one last time, maybe. Who knows? The revenge tour is interesting to me because he gives zero cares about everybody else on the team in the league, and they made him mad, and he's on the revenge tour.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers could have used Chase Claypool?
Yeah.
They could have,
or T. Higgins.
They passed Claypool up like I think 4 times or something. But they got a backup QB. But do you think Rodgers could have used Claypool or T. Higgins or any of these the deepest receiver draft class in recent memory, and they pick a backup quarterback or a quarterback? Yeah. Maybe they didn't want him to be the backup, but the revenge tour, man. I'm more and more on Aaron Rodgers' bandwagon.
Yeah. Let me pull out somebody about that game real quick. I picked up Tonyan. I don't even know. Robert Tonyan, the backup. The backup tight end for Green Bay who slid into the starting role. Here's something interesting. He worked out with Kittle all summer to improve his technique. And now he's found the number 1 slot. He has went off a couple of games this year. Let's hope he keeps it up because I picked him up in fantasy. And with their number 1 guy, Adams, out, he's going to get some looks. And
yeah.
But anyway, that's all we got for this week, folks. NFL never disappoints with drama. We got COVID drama breaking every day. We got coaches getting fired. We got
injuries, season-ending injuries.
In the injuries. And as Joe said, as we just came on, he starts out 3-0 in our weekly fantasy league, and he's dying a slow death.
Oh yeah, death by 1,000 cuts, man. I'm just bleeding out over here, out. It's so brutal.
Well, guys, hope everybody enjoys their week. Check us out everywhere you check us out. Give us a like, give us a share with your friends, subscribe, and check out the golf podcast, man. If y'all are into golf, check out the other end of this. So my name's Andrew Putters. This is Joe Nicely signing off.
Go!